All right, so this is Beer Friends on location, the second time. Now we're visiting a bar. We're visiting Idle Hands Bar in Alphabet City in New York City. And this is one of our favorite places to come hang out. We've done a lot of live blogs from their Wednesday $10 tastings of Bourbon and Brewery. And this is the Rev. This is one of the owners.
I like beer.
I
like you guys.
Thanks.
Yeah,
We like you.
I like drinking.
All right, so where did Idle Hands come from?
So there's three owners. There's me, Mark, and Rob. You guys know them. We all come from a different reason to wanting to open a bar. Rob and Mark, for years, were talking about wanting to open a bar and wanting to have this concept of like a one-barrel bar where everything was made from one barrel. So wine, whiskey, bourbon, beers, like it was all things that came from a barrel. And as that concept developed and they got actually more and more serious about it, they called me and said, hey, you know that bar you've been talking about your whole life? Do you want to be a part of ours? And the story of that is when I was 16, my father romanticized the idea of a father-son pub to me. Said, you know, the coolest thing a man could ever do is own a bar that sold cool beer and cool burgers. And so my whole life we were going to have this like awesome father-son pub with like cool beer and cool burgers. And then, you know, my dad retired and it was like, oh, well, we're selling a house or we're moving. I got a new dog. Like, we got to buy new cars this year. So there was like this constant like, didn't happen, but we talked about it all the time. So my dad passed away in '99, and the day after he passed away, I called my stepmom and I said, look, it's not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to happen. I'm going to own that bar. Right? So I've said that story so many freaking times that when Rob and Mark were like, hey, we need a beer guy, called me, were you serious? I was like, totally serious. So my motivation to this bar is 100% tribute to my father.
All right.
Don't get me wrong, I like beer, I like drinking, I like hanging out, I like bourbon, I like burgers, but my motivation is 100% because I made a promise to my dad.
That's awesome.
Right on, cheers to that.
And then you mentioned you're the beer,
Mm-hmm.
which is, you have what, 6 taps?
We have 6, well, there's actually 10 taps in the building, but we split them with the douchebag bar upstairs. We say that friendly, we like them. But they do all macros, we do all micros. And because we have such a tiny little walk-in and they have none, we made an argument to get one more tap from them. So we have 6 taps, but we rotate through somewhere between 40 to 60 bottles, cans, depends on the season what we're doing. As it gets into winter, we'll bring in more larger formats. As we're here in the summer, we did a lot more cans and try to make it feel more summery since we're in a basement with no freaking windows.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
And that brings the other 2 parts, or the other portion. This is also a big bourbon bar. And it's bourbon, bourbon, beer, and rock and roll.
Bourbon, beer, and rock, and sort of all comes from our backgrounds. Rob is from North Carolina. He's a huge Southerner, just obsessed with bourbon, even more so than definably whiskey, like a pure bourbon fan. Almost everything I know about bourbon, I learned from either Rob or then tasting it. He was a huge bourbon fanatic. I'm a huge beer fanatic. All 3 of us come from the music business. We all worked in rock and roll, and so it just is like the amalgamation of all of our lives put into one. We always joke forever, like, Rob, Mark, and I were in the music business, and we'd go to a concert at like Roseland or Irving Plaza or wherever, and we would just go to whatever bar was closest to that bar afterwards to drink because it was proximity close.
Yeah.
Not because they had cool beer, not because they had cool food, not because they had bourbon, just because it was close. And we could never figure out why there wasn't a cool after-hours rock bar. How come the music industry didn't have a place that when the band was done playing, that's where you went to go because they served what you wanted? And we were like, that's the bar we want to open. Here it is.
Yeah.
Well, it's lovely. You've done great. It's a beautiful little establishment.
How did you guys find us, by the way?
That's a really good question. That's yours.
Groupon.
That's right.
There was a Groupon that showed up, and it was
work.
It does work!
It was like $20 for
10 for 20.
10 for 20 or something like that. And I was like, all right, I'll check it out. And I came down here, and the first thought was, cool, I'm drinking in my parents' basement again. I hope they don't come downstairs. But no, it's awesome. And as soon as I opened up the menu and saw the $10 tastings and everything else, and I'm a big bourbon fan too, just recently got into it, I was like sold on it. And it's okay to get to from work, so I moved away.
Yeah, I mean, when we put together the $10 tasting program, it was like, there was a number of motivations. Number one, I wanted to try a lot of beer.
Yeah.
So, my needs came first. So how do I get a lot of beer in here? Second of all, it was like, look, this is Ave B. Like, this isn't a happy hour neighborhood. People don't work here. People work in Midtown or wherever you guys are, or wherever I am. And so we're like, how do we get this bar full during happy hour? Like, well, we could have done like 2-for-1 drinks, or we could have done like half off, or we could have done like $3 pours. I think we could have done any of these other tricks, and I was like, what if we figure out a way to give people 5 beers, a bourbon, and an order of tater tots for $10 freaking dollars? And we did a little bit of math, a little bit of the jiggy hustle, and it works.
It works. It's the best $10 in the city for my money.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you, anybody watching this should be familiar with them already. Because of, how many have we done? 3?
Oh, no,
4
much
hours?
more than 3.
We've done a bunch.
Much more than 3.
Because it's easy to come and write
Maybe
and
only
drink.
3 that we remember, but
There are a lot.
they show up on the website.
I've only ever missed 3.
We've only ever missed 3. I've missed a few more than that. We're trying to keep up our attendance.
Yeah.
By the way, if you guys or any of you like have a suggestion or there's a brewery you want here, tell me. Otherwise,
Well, I'll let you know.
We'll do this off camera because I've got a list of
So far, you're doing a pretty good job.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
because the way it works is like, so I book them in 3 months at a click. So spring, summer, winter, fall. I'll initially reach out to the breweries I want. Like yes, we've never done Mission. I want Mission. So I called Mission, said get in here and do this. Then once I make sure the 3 to 4 that like either I just want back again or I've never done, then I put the 411 out to all the beer distributors and the brand managers. Say, if you want to guarantee tap in my bar, book a $10 tasting, and then they're gone.
Is that the only event you guys do weekly? I mean, I know you have a bunch of other things, but
Well, I mean,
Emo nights and burger nights,
What are
and
those
guest
all?
DJs.
Monday is guest bartenders and free mini burgers. Tuesdays is no one you know night. So it's like indie rock and dance. Wednesday night is $10 tasting. Thursday night is music night. So once a month we do all emo. Once a month we do all punk rock. We do all metal. Then we do 90s alternative. And then for that rotating time where there's like a 5th Tuesday, we have some wacky ideas that we're going to start putting in there. Like, do you know about El Cajuna Mas Grande?
No.
I don't think you've been here on one of those nights.
no.
So
I haven't.
there is a Mexican wrestler, a luchador, that lives in the neighborhood that
Excellent.
he happens to love bourbon, and randomly called us up when he found out at the bar one time. He was like, "Hey, I'm this luchador. I'm El Cajuna Mas Grande. I love bourbon. Your bar's really cool. I'd love to guest DJ." And I'm already like, "Yes, every night it's yours. We're gonna rename the bar, whatever you want." And he's like, "I just have a couple caveats." I said, "Okay." He goes, "Well, there has to be a $3 special." Okay, fine, we'll do something $3. So I think we do like $3 Lagunitas or whatever. And he goes, "And I get to DJ for 2 hours." I was like, "Okay, what do you play?" And he's like, "Only instrumental surf rock." I'm like, done. Can you be here tomorrow?
Everybody has to wear their mask.
But he comes in his mask and a Hawaiian shirt,
Oh.
and he plays surf rock for 2 hours, and we do $3 beers, and then we do free surf and turf.
I'll be there.
Free surf and turf for us, by the way, is goldfish crackers and Slim Jims.
I was going to say, surf break,
Excellent.
what?
So we do that, and then whatever. We have the DJ Dance Rock Party on Saturdays. We're getting into the fall, so we're a Houston Texans bar, as weird as that is in New York City.
Yeah, I did see that actually.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Mark is originally from Texas.
Okay.
And as we
Yeah,
were
that'd
opening
be
a
something.
bar, I'm a Yankees fan, Rob is a Sox fan, Mark is a Dolphins fan or Cowboys, whatever. None of us agree on a team, so we thought, well, it makes no sense to call yourself a Yankees bar at this point, or we didn't want to be a Red Sox bar, and so it was like, I don't know, what do we do? Mark was like, "Dude, there's no Texans bars," and he literally called the Texans, and they were like, "Yes, we would love an official bar," and so Texans put it on their blog, and
You
now
found the official bar.
we did official Houston Texans
I
bar.
just thought it was somebody that just liked the tape.
Anyway, so we do something every night, but like the craft beer is always here, the bourbons are always here, the rock and roll and the fun and the tasting is just stuff we sort of put around it, but largest selection of bourbon in New York City, and we're coming up on bourbon season.
It's bourbon season.
All the new bourbons come out in September.
Love it. Okay.
So,
All right. Well, we'll stop by.
Yeah.
I guess.
I'm sure I'll see you again.
I'll try and carve out some time on my schedule.